You know how some sayings are so common, you just feel like you know them inside and out? Well, today we're going to dive into 3 super famous Arabic proverbs that are hiding some amazing secrets. What if I told you that a deeper, honestly, a much more brilliant meaning has been hiding in plain sight this whole time?
Okay, let's start with an absolute classic. Time is like a sword. If you don't cut it, it cuts you. I bet almost all of you have heard this one. It's famous, it's punchy, and yeah, it seems to make total sense, right? It's this sharp warning about not wasting time.
But what if that's not what it means? Not at all? What if one tiny, almost invisible change to a single word flips the entire meaning on its head and makes it, well, even more powerful?
All right, so let's get into our first saying about time. The version we all know and use pits us against a sword. But the original wisdom, it turns out, was about something way more natural and way more unstoppable.
So the common mistake boils down to one little word, kalsayf, which means like a sword. But the original version, that was kasai, like a torrent or, a flash flood. It's such a subtle shift in letters, but it completely unlocks a massive shift in meaning.
Okay, so why a torrent? Why does a flash flood make so much more sense than a sword, an image we're all so familiar with? Come on, let's break down the logic here.
Well, for starters, the whole sword analogy has a tiny flaw. You don't really cut an iron sword. You might shatter it or break it, but the verb just doesn't quite fit. A torrent, on the other hand, that makes perfect sense. A flash flood will literally cut you off, stopping you from crossing a valley or finishing your journey. So the real message isn't about attacking time, it's about realizing that time is this unstoppable force that'll sweep right past you and leave you stranded if you don't hurry up and get things done.
So, you're probably wondering, if torrent is so much more logical, how on earth did we all get it wrong? How did sword become the version that everybody knows and quotes?
It all comes down to the Arabic verb qata'a, which actually has a few different meanings. The most common one is to slice, which, our brains immediately connect with a sword. But it also means to be cut off or to be stopped from traveling, which is a perfect fit for a flood. So what happened is people just defaulted to the most familiar meaning, and that wrong image just stuck.
Okay, our second proverb follows a really similar pattern, and this one is all about astrologers. It's really important to mention, this is just a popular proverb. It's not a religious text or anything like that.
The saying we usually hear is, astrologers lie, even if they tell the truth. But the original word wasn't sadaku, they told the truth. It was actually sadafu, they were correct by chance. Can you believe that? A single dot on one letter changes the entire idea?
I know, it seems like such a tiny change, but the difference in meaning here is absolutely crucial. Why is by chance so much more powerful and, well, so much smarter?
See, all the classical Arabic sources confirm the original word was about coincidence, and it just makes so much more sense. The entire point of the proverb is that astrologers are, at their core, liars. They don't actually possess any truth. So saying they tell the truth kind of contradicts the whole idea. But saying they might get it right by pure chance, just a lucky guess, that perfectly reinforces the idea that they have no real knowledge. It's just a much sharper, more precise insult.
So why the mix-up? Well, there are 2 really simple reasons. First, the words sound almost identical. And second, our brains just love simple opposites. Lie and truth are like a classic pair, so it feels natural to stick them together, even if it kind of muddles the proverb's original, cleverer meaning.
Okay, let's get to our final example. This one comes from a famous line of poetry that's basically used as a proverb. It's a story about betrayal, and it teaches a really interesting lesson in what truly makes someone a master of their craft.
The line is usually quoted as, "I taught him archery every day, and when his arm grew strong, he shot me." The common word there is ishtada, grew strong. But the original, more poetic word was istidada, which means became accurate or perfected his aim.
And this brings up a fantastic question. What is the single most important quality of an expert archer? Is it about raw physical strength, or is it about something else entirely?
The difference is crystal clear when you really think about the skill of archery. Strength isn't really the main thing.
A bow is flexible, it doesn't take some huge amount of power to draw it. But accuracy, that precision you get from practicing over and over, that is everything. The betrayal here isn't that the student just got strong, it's that he perfected the deadly skill his teacher gave him, and then turned that precision against him.
And the reason for this mistake? It's simple: familiarity. Ishtadda, for grew strong, is a super common everyday word. Ishtida, for became accurate, is a much more specialized technical term. So over time, the more common word just pushed the more precise one right out of the picture.
So, after looking at all three of these, from floods to astrologers to archers, what's the big takeaway here? What does this all really mean? It's a simple but really powerful idea. In language, in wisdom, and in how we see the world. One single word, sometimes just one letter or one tiny dot, can literally change everything. So, the next time you hear these sayings, remember the hidden wisdom. Time isn't a sword you have to fight, but a rushing torrent you need to outpace. Astrologers don't have access to some secret truth. They just get lucky sometimes. And the deepest betrayal doesn't come when a student gains power, but when they master the very skill that you taught them.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? These sayings feel like solid, unshakable truths, but they were hiding a deeper, more precise meaning the whole time. Which kind of leaves us with one last question to chew on. What other truths do we all repeat every single day, without ever stopping to question if we've actually got the words right?